We gotta start somewhere, y'all. The South is very South.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls of all ages, welcome to the AFC South, the worst division in football. That is what we're going to be covering tonight on Time of Possession. My partner here, Ryan Jones, that is me, Jared Hickman, on the call with me tonight. He has kind of a hate relationship with this division, and I'm sure you'll hear all about it when we get down the list of teams. But this is the worst division in football. That's what we're going to be covering tonight. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, look at the screen. There's Will Levis and the Tennessee Titans giving us amazing moments all year long. But he is no longer the starting quarterback. So, first of all, before we get into any of this, Jared, how was your weekend? I know you had a very eventful weekend.
Yes, for people that follow me on Twitter, I tweeted a lot about me being at Anime Expo in Los Angeles. Yes, I went to that. It was certainly another experience, for us con goers, that we refer to Anime Expo as line con because you sit in long lines for at a minimum an hour. Because if you're not sitting in line for an hour, it is not true line con. You just have to go to know what I'm talking about. Because my legs absolutely cooked. But goddamn, did I have a protein bowl on that third day, and it took me out. 10 out of 10 would do again. And also got to meet my celebrity crush again. She is still amazing. Love her so much.
Nice. Well, I'm glad you had a great weekend. My weekend was spent watching fireworks from my apartment, and
You
it
mentioned
was
that. You mentioned that. I actually saw someone firing off fireworks from like one of the high floors of a building in LA. It was
yeah.
crazy.
We didn't do none of that, but the view from my apartment, we obviously wanted to stay indoors because my little doggy does not do so well around Fourth of July time.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
know the feeling.
we kind of just sat, watched by the window outside, and because we're on the 18th floor, we can see basically all of Detroit. And I don't, you could check my post on my Instagram, but um, the it was so cool to see, like basically the entire state of Michigan lighting up fireworks at the exact same time. It looked crazy. Like it was the most fireworks I've ever seen in my life at one time. So Fourth of July was cool. Obviously, since we're here in the state of Michigan, it was just me and Alex, but we had a good holiday weekend. Watch it. I don't know if you've been keeping up with it, but we've been watching Love Island, and it's insane. But I'm not going to bore you the details.
Yeah, I
Um,
saw some ads for it on the electronic billboards when I was in the beer garden.
it's absolutely the worst trashy television that you could watch, reality trashy television, but it's amazing because of how stupid these people are. But it's awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
Again, I do want to mention, but not like your atmosphere was good. My atmosphere, being in the beer garden, listening to Latino mariachi, like people our age, singing like
yeah.
anime themes in Spanish. Ugh, peak. While I'm downing vodka Red Bulls. While with
Well, yeah,
fireworks going off, which it
yeah,
peak America in my opinion.
yeah. I mean, like we said, hey, we talked about it. I don't know if we talked about it on the pod before. America, what makes America awesome is it's a giant melting pot of so many different cultures, and it's awesome when we can all get along and appreciate each other's cultures. Um, I'll just leave it at that.
Like I'm
So
white and I'm vibing to all the Mexican music. I mean, I'm also part Mexican, but like I'm getting down
yeah,
with it. I'm like, hell yeah,
yeah,
this is just awesome. I mean, it sucks. I was kind of by myself and not with friends because they didn't go this year, but like it was cool. Like the beer garden was outside, like in front of crypto, like
oh, that's
between where
sick.
where
That's sick.
crypto and the peacock amphitheater is.
Mm,
Like that's where it was this year, and I'm like, damn, this is actually kind of nice of it being right here. But
nice, nice. All right, well, I guess now is a good a time as ever to get into the worst division in football, the AFC South. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are familiar with our baseball breakdowns that we've been doing for the past couple of years, that Jared has taken the lead on, and this is going to be very similar with football. And so, yeah, I mean, we're going to go through it. I tried to be as detailed as possible so we can get a full, kind of picture of what these teams are going to be like going into the 2025-26 season. Uh, and we're going to start with the Tennessee Titans as Will Levis it was a short-lived era in Tennessee, but he did deliver so many great moments of this past NFL season. Let's scroll down to the season recap, Jared. Last year, they went 13-14. They were last in the division. They weren't good at home. They weren't good on the road. Obviously, you could see right there on the screen, and obviously they missed the playoffs. Offensively, it was not ideal. They were 30th out of 32 teams. There are 32 teams in the NFL, just for people, not going to say it for everything, but just want to establish that. They were 30th in passing, and just so we're all aware, this is the only time I'll say it. I used EPA, which is an advanced metric to determine these rankings right here. Essentially, on a per-play basis, where did you rank in the NFL? This is where they ranked. They were 30th passing the ball. They were pretty low running the football as well, 29th. They scored the 27th most points. Not good. Defensively, passing, they were 18th, around the middle of the pack. Rushing, 22nd, a little below average. And then the big one, they were 30th in points allowed. So the yardage and on a per play basis, I don't think that this defense was really helped out by the offense, essentially, is what we're looking at. Opposing offenses had short fields. They didn't have to get that many yards to score a bunch of points on this defense. So it remains to be seen if they're a good defensive unit or not. Here's the coaching staff.
like Moses,
Obviously,
I'm dying leaning on my staff. Quote by Jim Harbaugh.
And it's going to be interesting how you feel about the Charger staff when we get there. 'Cause a certain somebody's still in the building. But yeah, GM. They have a new GM here coming over from Kansas City. His name is Mike Borgonzi. I think that's pronouncing it correctly. If I'm not, oh well, it is what it is. Mike Borgonzi or Borgonzi, something like that.
I'm
He
something of a
Kansas City.
Bergonzi myself, if you ask me.
Yeah,
I can't say it with a straight face.
Yeah, he comes over from Kansas City. Obviously, the current, I don't know if they're still the dynasty in the league, but they had a hell of a run there. Obviously, ended by the Eagles last year. He was the assistant general manager. So he's seen how to build a winning culture. He's seen how to build a winner. He's going to come over and try to do that in Tennessee. Can he do that with this coaching staff? That remains to be seen. And this coaching staff is definitely on the hot seat, if you ask me. They have to get some wins and at least have a semi-successful year with Cam Ward, who was the number 1 overall pick. We'll get to the draft class in a minute. Brian Callahan, the second-year head coach. This will be year 2. He was the Cincinnati offensive coordinator before this gig. So he had one of the best offenses in the league. One could argue, well, you have Joe Burrow, you have Jamar Chase, you have T. Higgins, and at the time when he was the OC, I think he had Joe Mixon still. You should have one of the best offenses in the league. But regardless, he gets the job here in Tennessee. Nick Foles, I think it's pronounced Holtz, if I'm not mistaken. No T, but it is Holtz. Second year, he comes over from Jacksonville. He was the passing coordinator on what was Trevor Lawrence's best year as a pro. The year, obviously, they came back on you guys in the postseason. And then
Don't remind me.
defensively, I'm sorry, I have to give the context of why somebody from Jacksonville got hired to be the OC in Tennessee.
You can
Denard
thank he can
Williams,
thank Brandon Staley for that job. That's who we can thank.
yeah, essentially, yeah. Denard Wilson, excuse me, second-year defensive coordinator. Previously, he was in Baltimore working with the defensive backs for years. Baltimore has had, they turn out defensive guys. They've always had great defenses. It's not hard to see why this man was hired. And of course, John Fassel, first year here. I guess they felt like the special teams coordinator previously didn't do a good job. He comes over from Dallas, who year in and year out usually has um, one of the better special teams units in the game. That is the coaching staff. A little uninspiring, if you ask me. A lot of unprovenness, no names that really jump out at you. Like, wow, they got this guy as their DC or OC, right? So that's the coaching staff. Here's the big thing that is ultimately going to determine their success. The roster, who they lost, who they brought in. Let's go through it really quickly. Then we'll get to the draft class, and you and I could talk about the draft class and the depth chart. At least their projected starters, because we don't know that to this point. They lost Nick Westbrook-Akine. He goes over to Miami. Solid receiver for them. They lost a guard, Dylan Runs. I think that's how you say it. I have no clue. I'm going to pronounce names wrong, guys. That's just how it's going to be. He goes
That's
over to the
football.
Saints. Harold Landry, that's a big loss in my opinion. He goes over to New England, projected to start there as like a sub linebacker, edge rusher type. They are completely redoing this linebacking core as well. Jerome Baker goes to Cleveland. They traded Kenneth Murray to Dallas. In the corner room, in the secondary, Chidobe Awuzie goes over to Baltimore, and Quandre Diggs, he's not on this team anymore. He's still a free agent. Obviously, there's going to be guys that are still signed all the way up to the season, veterans at a lower pay grade. Quandre Diggs hasn't been signed here yet. He may come back. He may go somewhere else. Let's be honest. He's not going to move the needle for any of these teams. And then the special teams unit, they bring in a new special teams coach. They get rid of the kicker and punter as well. Nick Folk and Ryan Stonehouse are out. What they did in free agency, you can see the numbers on there for what they signed for. I'm not going to go through all the numbers because that's just too much, but you can see them. They're on the screen. More years, higher dollar amounts. They expect these guys to be contributors on their team for a long time. Okay. Tyler Lockett, longtime Seattle Seahawk, comes over. I don't know. He might be washed at this point. Didn't come off a good year in Seattle.
We know what Tennessee is, where wide receivers go to die.
And it sucks that Lockett's not going to finish his career in Seattle because he, one of their greatest receiver, arguably their greatest receiver in franchise history.
He should have just
he's
pulled.
Definitely he's in the conversation.
He should have just pulled a
He should have
Cooper
just
Kupp.
retired.
Like he should have just done what Kupp did and just swapped teams with, like, go to the
Yeah,
Rams.
he should have gone to the Rams.
Be a veteran wide receiver 3.
Mm-hmm. Dan Moore comes over from Pittsburgh. That's really bad news for Pittsburgh. Look, Pittsburgh offensive lines have not been good, but they paid this guy to be a starting tackle. 4 years, $82 million. Kevin Zeitler, longtime Brown and then Lion, comes over from Detroit. Like I said, they're redoing the linebacking core and a lot of this defense. Lorenzo Carter from Atlanta. Draymond Jones, former Bronco. He was in the Russell Wilson trade, if I'm not mistaken. Goes to Seattle. And then Cody Barton from Denver, who Denver signed on a minimum contract, took a shot on. He was amazing for Denver, one of the highest rated linebackers according to PFF. He gets paid big and goes to Tennessee to be the signal caller as the middle linebacker. We'll see if he can continue this kind of Linsanity run that he has with Denver, because he had no success in his career up until the point he got to Denver. So was it Denver or was it him turning the corner? We will find out. Xavier Woods appears to be one of the starting safeties, and then Joey Sly and Johnny Hecker come over to fill out the kicking and punting unit. Jared, I want to ask you, looking at the additions and losses, do you think they gained or lost more? What's your favorite signing? What's your biggest loss? What are you thinking about what they did in the offseason, at least via free agency?
All right. Losses, I'd say the big one, I'll have to agree with you. It's most likely Harold Landry because Tennessee, while they've been bad, but what they've been good at is that D line. That's what they've like one of their strong points over the last few seasons is having a strong defensive line. Aside from when they had um, Derrick Henry and I'm already forgetting the QB that like
Tannehill?
Tannehill. Yes, hell, dude, I can't believe I forgot Tannehill when he was like good for them. But yeah, when they were known for Tannehill turning the corner and Derrick Henry being the powerhouse of the team and the workhorse, it was the D line getting it done. So Harold Landry leaving's big. But I would have to say I do like them upgrading the offensive line for Cam Ward. They do not want their number one pick to die right away.
Yeah.
Unlike some teams that don't know how to, build.
We'll get one of those teams that don't know how to build the O line very soon. We'll get to one of them.
There's still one of those teams, not even in this division either.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the O line building. I do like a lot of the linebacker signings, and yeah, and then Kenneth Murray, obviously, he's a former Charger. I don't hate him as much as other Chargers fans do. I'm just sad he didn't pan out when we traded up to draft him. But I'm glad to see that he's still in the league.
Yep. And the fact that he's actually, Dallas is trying to get their defense on the right track because they were not a good defensive unit last year. So a lot of turnover there. Let's move on to the draft class. Couldn't write everything out, so we got links for certain stuff. Give this a second to breathe. We'll scroll down, probably get a video ad I'm going to have to exit out of real quick.
No, I want to see that mustache, man. Let me see it. No! All right.
Closing. Okay. And just for context, the reason I went with their all-time draft history is because I also wanted to take a look at the 2024 draft, guys that they drafted last year. This is year 2 for them. They're expected to make the jump and be real contributors. So I'll zoom in a little bit. Actually, I got to see the school. So obviously, Cam Ward is the pick here. He's the big fish. He comes in to replace Will Levis. He's going to be the week 1 starter. How did you feel about Cam Ward, coming into this draft?
He was the best QB in the draft. Like, it would have been shocking if he didn't go number 1 unless the Titans traded out of the number 1 pick. Like, to either another QB needy team or to somebody who just desperately wanted Travis Hunter over Jacksonville.
Yeah, the only other player that you could argue Tennessee could have taken here was Travis Hunter.
Yes.
And we'll get to Travis Hunter, obviously, because he was drafted in this division.
Like, it wouldn't have shocked me if Tennessee took Travis Hunter, but like I would have just been more surprised that they were gonna stick with Will Levis or whoever else they would have had at QB over taking Cam Ward there.
Yeah. Moving on from Cam Ward, that's the big fish, obviously, but they addressed a lot of defense in this draft. They take the defensive end from UCLA, Oldejo, doing my best here, people. I don't know if he expects to start, but he was a second-round pick. Kevin Winston, who is, safety, kind of a hybrid guy that can kind of do it all out of Penn State. Chamir Dyke, wide receiver from Florida. They got to upgrade this. That's one of the main things. So you got to start taking shots. And that's what they did in the 4th round. Wide receiver, they go tight end with Helm, and they go another wide receiver with Ayumanor out of Stanford. So then a couple late round picks. They go offensive line with Slater, not Rashawn Jackson, this time out of Sacramento State. DB Marcus Harris from Auburn. And they go blue blood again with a Michigan running back, Mullins. So, and obviously, if you look at the 2024 draft, they took J.C. Latham last year. They expect him to pan out on the offensive. So overall, you can kind of see what they are building with this offensive line. They also took Peter Skoronski in 2023, so you're hoping that he, you know, is an established starter for you. They've been trying to build this offensive line for years now, and they're hoping that they have it set for Cam Ward, essentially. I'm going to show you the projected depth chart now, according to ESPN.com. So take it with a grain of salt. But obviously, Cam Ward is going to be the starter here for the Titans. Tony Pollard, as of now, is projected to be the starting running back here. Tajay Spears, obviously, still here. They have Julius Chestnut and obviously Mullen, rookie running back. Rookie running backs, a lot of factor there that he could explode for some reason. But right now, it's going to be Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears. An okay duo, but it's going to rely on this offensive line here. Across the offensive line, Dan Moore, big signing. Peter Skoronski, he was a first-round pick a couple years ago. You hope that he's there, right? And he continues to build. Kevin Zeitler, J.C. Latham, and Lloyd Cushenberry. Overall, this is the best offensive line that the Titans have had, in my opinion, since the Derrick Henry years. They've done a good job in the past of building offensive lines, so I trust this franchise to do it. And I'm hoping for Cam Ward's sake that this is just what happens.
All right.
I hope that.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Ryan is betting on Cam Ward's life that the Tennessee Titans have built the perfect O-line, or at least the right O-line around him.
We're hoping.
So if Cam Ward dies in year one,
it's my fault.
Titans fans, you can take it up with Ryan.
Yeah. Let's look at the weapons now for Cam Ward. Obviously, we talked about wide receiver Calvin Ridley is the number one here. He had a decent year last year. He's hoping to kind of step it up and be that number one alpha, that people recognize across the league now. Kind of be the guy for this franchise, right? Tyler Lockett, I worry for him because this is the place that receivers go to die. Treylon Burks has not panned out to this point. And Van Jefferson also, you could see him on the screen right there. He's the number 4 receiver, another guy that has not panned out. So outside of Calvin Ridley, not great, Tennessee. But obviously with the offensive line, Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears, and Calvin Ridley, you're hoping it's kind of enough for him. And you're hoping that Tyler Lockett's career isn't over yet. And he can still be a solid receiver. So overall, the offense, it's all right. It's not moving me. Like I'm not looking at this offense and I'm not going to say this is going to be a top 10 offense. It's not. I do think that the ranks from last year should improve a little bit. They had a literal child out there playing quarterback. So
a mayonnaise-loving child out there at quarterback.
Dude, instant bust. If I knew off the bat, mayonnaise and coffee. You're off my board. I'm not drafting it. Sorry.
No, imagine having all the data and the just why you should be the number one pick. Sees that the freaking meme from Parks and Rec of just throwing the computer to the trash
it's done. It's gone instantly. Let's move on to the defense now.
Okay.
Let's go down the list. The defensive line, Sebastian Joseph Day, Trevondre Sweat, Jeffrey Simmons. Jeffrey Simmons is the best player on this football team. Just straight up, no art, nothing, there's no debate. Jeffrey Simmons is amazing. Cody Barton, Draymond Jones, Otis Reese, Arden Key is the group of linebackers / kind of their sub linebackers. They'll rush the passer every now and then. It just 3-4 defenses are weird. You're never really even in your base defense. Anyways, the secondary is what I really want to point to because I think this is an improved secondary. And obviously they ranked pretty decent last year. I think if everything falls right for this group, they could be like a top 15 unit against the pass. If you're including Cody Barton because he is an inside linebacker, he's going to drop back into coverage, right? L'Jarius Sneed, we know, is an awesome player. He's got to stay healthy. Amani Hooker, that's solid. Xavier Woods, Jarvis Brownlee, and then Roger McCreary. Like, it's a solid group of secondary players. Again, I don't know if it's going to be again, this is not going to be a top 10 defense in the NFL. This is a rebuild for a reason, but they have pieces in place to where you could see, some things happening. And then special teams, we don't need to spend that much time on it. There's Joey Sly, Johnny Hecker. It is what it is. That's the group. The punt returner, Jameer Dyke, kick returner, Julius Chestnut, and yeah. Overall, how are we feeling about this roster?
I'm a little bit more moved by the defense than I am the offense. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. That's what, we got to get next season. We got to get like legit playmakers in here for Cam Ward. Got to get a run game. All right, schedule. So, pulling up the schedule now. You see the ranking here. They have the 8th easiest schedule.
Okay.
For, to start. But they're going to start the season 0-1.
They're going to start the season 0-2, actually.
Yeah. Cam Ward, in his first ever NFL game going against Denver's top 3 defense in the NFL, not a great start for him. They got the Rams, the Colts. Then they have a 3-game road trip at Houston, at Arizona, at Las Vegas. This is kind of where you expect Cam Ward to maybe roll off some wins, right? I think he could beat the Colts. Depending on how you feel about Houston, it is a division game. Anything can happen. Arizona, probably not expected to be that great. The Raiders, depending on how you feel about the Raiders, maybe he can get a dub there. The Patriots, the Colts again, the Chargers, he's losing that game, but don't worry. Another division game against Houston. We have Seattle then.
Home games. Wow, that's crazy.
Jacksonville, Cleveland, the Niners, the Chiefs, the Saints, and the Jaguars. This is the 8th easiest schedule. And you can tell, for any of our teams, there's a lot of gimmies on this list. You have the Colts, the Cardinals, the Patriots, the Jaguars, the Browns, the Saints are on here,
I feel like they could get one against the Texans. I just don't know which one they'd get.
I 100% agree. We'll get to the Texans, but I'm not as high on Houston as I was last year.
Yeah.
So let's just
last year was like a high for Houston, but after what Houston did the offseason, obviously we'll get to that.
Yeah. We'll get to that for sure. They have a bye week right in the middle of the season. I think for rookie quarterback Cam Ward, this is probably ideal. Look, I don't think that Tennessee is going to win that many games. Here are the odds for you, and then you can give me an over-under. You can give me a record prediction if you want. I'm going to save my record predictions for later once we get to that point. So here are the odds. 5.5 wins is what their win total is set at right now as of July 7th. They have the 4th best odds to win their division. In the AFC, they're dead last in the conference, for odds at least, 16th. And for Super Bowl odds, they are 31st out of 32. They are not going to be making the playoffs, I don't think. I'll tell you right now, when I was doing this earlier, this is a very good line. Because I was going through it. I think they're going to finish under 5.5 wins. It could be 5, but all you're looking, if you're a Titans fan this year, is that Cam Ward plays good, that he looks comfortable, that he does not. He's going to have his rookie moments, but you just are looking for signs of promise. He does not have to be Jaden Daniels. Doesn't have to have the Bo Nix rookie season. He doesn't have to be Justin Herbert rookie season or Baker Mayfield. You just got to look for some promise. Jared, your overall thoughts on the Titans, and you can give me either a record prediction or an over-under. For now, I'm going to say they go under 4-13, 5-12-ish. That's what I'm guessing.
I feel like there's a little bit more improvement with the Titans that they make. I don't think they have the same record as last year. I'm going to say over, but like by half a game.
Okay.
Like I think they win. I think they win 6 games as of right now.
All right. Tyler obviously will be joining us next week, hopefully. Obviously, he's not here tonight. He had an internet power outage, unfortunately, so he could not join us. But hopefully, we can get his answers filled in here. Moving on. Duval. The Jacksonville Jaguars are here. This is one of those teams I know you don't like, but I'm sure after last season, you kind of felt they got what they deserved.
Oh,
they go 4-13. They go 4-13.
You know,
they got third in the division, not last at 4-13.
Let me just say, I'm gonna call somebody out here. My buddy, Nick Frazier. I know you're enjoying living in Florida in kind of the Jacksonville area right now. Buddy, you are a Chargers fan. Why did I see you wearing a Jacksonville Jaguars shirt on your story?
Oh, no.
Buddy,
oh, no.
If you're listening right now, you cannot be doing this allegiance confusion while raising a kid. I love you, buddy, but you gotta make your allegiances known.
Oh God. Poor Nick. I mean, look, if you're choosing between the Chargers and the Jaguars, it's a hard life. That's all I'm gonna say.
But I bet Florida's nice though. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah. 4-13 and getting third in the division. You now know why this is one of the worst divisions in the league. The home record, they were okay at home. In that Florida weather, it is hot as hell. They went 3-5. It's a decent home field advantage for them for sure. You just wish they had more fans. It's a very young franchise, and most of the state of Florida, they're Dolphins fans.
Or they're just now switching to the Bakerneers, you know?
Exactly. As they should, by the way.
I mean, the Bucs have like 2 of the most recent Super Bowls in Florida, so like.
Yeah. On the road, they were 1-8, not good, and they obviously didn't make the playoffs. If you're 4-13, here were the ranks on offense. 21st in passing, okay. You know, for Trevor Lawrence to be like in and out of the lineup, not having a good season, that's not where you want to be in year, 3 or 4 of Trevor Lawrence, but that's, what you got. The rushing was okay. They have 2 decent running backs. We'll talk about them in a little bit. They just could not score. They were 26th in points, and they definitely addressed this with who they hired at coach. You saw him in the thumbnail, Liam Cohen. We'll talk about it in a sec. The defense was worse than the offense, if you could believe it. Dead last against the pass. The secondary was atrocious. Injuries, people in and out of the lineup. It was terrible.
It was great.
And they addressed that. They addressed that in the draft. We'll talk about it. Travis Hunter soon. Honestly, I'm more excited for the Jaguars than the Titans. Let's just say that. The rush defense, they could not defend the run either. They were 27th in the NFL and then 28th points allowed. And the only reason they probably weren't 32 is because there was a lot of running the ball, running the clock out, and kneeling against the Jaguars because they're just not good. Not good at all. Here's the staff. The GM, James Gladstone, new GM in town. He comes over from the LA Rams. He was their director of scouting. This man made the call to trade up for Travis Hunter. He has my respect. And he comes from one of the better organizations in the NFL. The head coach, Liam Cohen, he worked with my beautiful baby boy, Baker Mayfield. You have my respect. Tampa Bay OC, obviously. Calling the plays, I don't know if it'll be Liam Cohen or Grant Udinski. He comes over, working under one of the best offensive minds in the game. Minnesota assistant offensive coordinator Grant Udinski comes over. He's the OC now. And on defense, we have Anthony Campanelli, who longtime NFL coach. Last season, he was working with Green Bay's linebacking core. He's been all over the place, though. That's just his most recent job. I can tell you right now, Jags fans are excited for Anthony Campanelli. Comes from an NFL family as well. I think his dad coached or something, so he has experience. And then special teams, Heath Farwell. This is his 4th year with the team. The only member of the old regime that didn't get taken out is him, so he must be doing something right. Or they just don't think, it matters all that much. Not as much movement as the Titans. They did lose Evan Ingram to Denver. Christian Kirk is out of here. He got traded to Houston with his massive contract. Gabe Davis. He had that one game and nothing else.
We always remember that one Gabe Davis game.
Insane. He's like the Sammy Watkins of playoff games or something, Every year, Sammy Watkins randomly goes for like 200 yards just out of nowhere, and then he does nothing. It's like that, but for playoffs. They lose longtime NFL vet and guard Brandon Sheriff. He's still unsigned. Maybe he comes back. Mitch Morse, their longtime center, retires. Jeremiah Ledbetter goes to the Giants to join that defensive line. Ronald Darby also retired. And then Andre Sisco in the secondary goes to the Jets. So the notable losses here, if you're the Jaguars, a lot of guys that they've had on their team for time, big names. Here's what they did in free agency to replace it. Then I'll ask your thoughts, Jared. Obviously, Dyami Brown comes over from Washington. A lot of talent with this guy. He just hasn't seemed to put it all together. So we'll see if he can do that. Opposite side, Travis Hunter, right? And Brian Thomas. He's going to be the third receiver. Good role for him. Offensive tackle. Robert Hainsey comes in from Tampa Bay. He follows Liam Cohen. He thinks he could be a franchise tackle for them. 3 years, $21 million. Good deal. He got paid. Longtime NFL vet, Emmanuel Ogba. He's been with the Browns. He's been with the Dolphins. 1 year, $5 million deal, vet minimum kind of deal. He comes in. He's going to be solid for them. Jordan Lewis, long-time Dallas Cowboy, comes over, finally gets paid. And then Eric Murray comes over from Houston off his rookie deal, I believe, and he gets paid in the secondary. So they lost guys in the secondary. They replaced them. Wide receiver in free agency. They tried, they kind of swapped out Gabe Davis for Dyami Brown. And then Travis Hunter kind of addresses, we'll get to him in a sec, but he addresses stuff on both sides. What are your thoughts on what the free agency was kind of like for Jacksonville?
Not a lot of flashy moves that would move me if I was a Jags fan, but honestly, if my new head coach were to come in and put a little zest on that Duval, I can say, you know what? This might be different. So it's going to have to be a wait and see. There's going to be some growing pains, but we're going to find out. I mean, you can't do worse than last year. You can't be as bad as Tennessee.
You would think so, right? You'd think so. Let's talk about the draft class because I think, not a lot of flashy moves here, but the real excitement in this team for this team is going to be the guy. And another video, same must get off my screen, dude. Why are you here? Why are we're on Jags page. We're talking about the Bills. I don't understand. The last two draft classes headlined by some big names. Travis Hunter comes in. They had to trade up for him. It was one of the shocks of our draft day reaction video. If you haven't seen that, it's on our Spotify. Go watch it. I think it's the best piece of content that has been put together for us thus far. I thought it was awesome. This is where the real excitement is. What is he going to be in the NFL? Is he going to be able to play both ways? What is this going to look like? We don't know, and I'm just excited to watch this guy play. And the rest of the draft class you could see there, but Travis Hunter is where we're really excited. If he plays receiver, majority of the time, Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas, that is a hell of a 1-2 punch at wide receiver. Like that is a really, really, really good 1-2. If he plays corner, and we'll see the depth chart at corner, but I think he's a better corner than receiver. So that's the draft class. Here's the projected depth chart. This is where you start to get excited if you're a Jags fan. Trevor Lawrence comes in. He has to stay healthy. We've seen him have highs and lows. It just depends on what T-Law you get, but people were high on him for a reason coming out. In the backfield, Travis Etienne. This is a contract year for him. He has to stay healthy, and if he is, I expect a big year from him. It's a contract year. He has to be good. Tank Bigsby is also a big highlight. The 1-2 backfield here should be good if they're healthy. The receiving core, Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter, De'Ami Brown. It's a very good core. Tight end, Brenton Strange is there. Obviously, I think the tight end room leaves a little bit to be desired. It's not that great of a And then
you could say the tight end
the
room.
offensive line.
You could say the tight end room is a little strange.
It is estranged. There's like no one there. Not great. Walker Little, one of my guys in that draft, tackle as Cleveland. Robert Hainsey obviously comes in. Patrick Marakai and Anton Harrison. So, offensive line is the big question here. They have to stay healthy. We'll see if they're good. I don't know. What do you think about this Jags O-line or the Jags offense in general?
Well, sorry, I was reading a text. Well, this Jags offense, again, not moved, but it's going to be a wait and see. Can Liam Cohen do what he did in Jacksonville? Obviously, you don't have the bake show there, so it's not going to be the same end result where,
No, he's definitely downgrading at quarterback.
Yeah, definitely downgrading at quarterback, especially with a large anchor tied to him, that anchor being the contract, which means you hope he's at least half of what that contract is worth, because if he is not, holy L from the Khan family for giving that to him, which still shocks me to this day. But again, you said contract year. Some players really tend to play really, really well in contract years. It's just, does that team want to pay them is the question. Mm-hmm. So even if Travis Etienne has a great year and stays healthy, there's no guarantee he'll get a contract from them, but all he has to do is play well.
I would doubt that he does get a contract from them. But for the 2025 Jaguars, that doesn't, their contracts, it's not they're not worried about it. They have Tank Bigsby. He's really good, actually, which is surprising. So yeah, they just need
Fumbles.
Travis
They
Etienne.
have a little bit of a fumbling problem too, if I remember correctly.
They really do. They really do.
And
Here's the
I'm not
defense.
worried about Brian Thomas or Travis Hunter. I'm not worried about them at all. So,
No,
like,
neither am
they're
I.
gonna be fine. They're gonna be fine.
Yeah. Here is the projected defense. Obviously, ESPN's projecting Travis Hunter here ain't starting on defense. I think he's going to be both ways. So obviously he's going to be included in this. The defensive line is pretty damn good. Josh Hines Allen's, excuse me.
That's like
Devon Hamilton.
that's a multiverse Josh Allen, like Peter B. Parker, Josh Hines Allen.
I just want to call him Josh Allen, but I can't be disrespectful. Obviously, and you have Emmanuel Ogbah here. Going to be Eric Armstead, good player.
Yep.
Comes over from San Francisco. Travon Walker. This is a year. It's kind of a make or break year for him because he has not panned out as what was he? Was he the number 1 overall pick?
Trayvon Walker, yeah.
Yeah, I mean he has not panned out. Is he going to be a Jadeveon Clowney for
Amen.
them, or is he going to finally come onto the scene and be a good football player?
Remember back when we were in Kim Stevens' class, I said Aiden Hutchinson should have been the number 1 pick.
Yep.
And they went Trayvon Walker, and I went. I think that was when we were starting too the pod. I don't remember if that was the same year, but
I think it was.
But I was like,
Yeah.
Aiden Hutchinson, I'm going number 1, and then it wasn't it.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Obviously, Detroit's really happy with Aiden Hutchinson. So.
Yeah, and they should be. Though they should be. The linebacking core. This name's gonna trip me up. Foyesade Olokun. I think I said that right. Probably not.
I feel like you got the last name right. I think you got the last name.
Yeah, for sure. Their Mike linebacker, Devin Lloyd, sub linebacker, Ventrell Miller, and then it's a pretty good core. Corners, Jerrion Jones. He shouldn't be there. Travis Hunter should be their sub linebacker. At safeties, they have Eric Murray, who they signed. They also have Darnell Savage. I forgot he was on this team. One of the sickest names in NFL history, but he has to be better. Tyson Campbell, who they hope is good, and then Jordan Lewis. If you include Travis Hunter in this group, it's a pretty damn good secondary, if you ask me. But the question is, for all of us, what's Travis Hunter going to be? Is he going to be playing both sides? Yeah, that's the ultimate question. So, overall, looking at the Jags roster, what are your thoughts? Obviously we have the defense. We talked about the offense a little bit. What are you thinking?
Well, if I'm Travis Hunter, if I'm a team player, I'm always playing my homies both sides. Wink, wink. Hey, it's Duval. We gotta add a little bit of zest in here every now and then. Come on now.
Yeah, and we're moving on. And we're moving. The schedule. The 6th easiest schedule.
Man. Still gonna find a way to be mid.
Carolina to open your schedule.
That could go
Trevor
either.
versus Bryce.
Dude, that's cat versus cat right there. We're gonna have a cat fight week 1.
Yeah.
Cat fight week 2?
The Bengals.
Knowing the Bengals, the Jaguars could possibly win that game.
Well, yeah, and if you're high on the Jags this season, you look up your first division game home against Houston with that bad offensive line going up against Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen and Eric Armstead now. Upset potential, just saying. Carolina, Cincinnati, Houston, and then you go on the road, San Francisco. That's got to be Fox's game of the week, I would assume. Kansas City in prime time. Seattle. Why is there an asterisk here for this Rams game?
That might be a European game.
NFL Plus game.
That's got to be in Europe, probably London, or something like that.
Yeah,
somewhere in the UK.
Mm-hmm. Then they have their bye week, week 8, which is probably around the time you kind of want it. 8 to 10 ish is kind of where you want your bye. The Raiders coming out of the bye, you're on the road at Vegas. Interesting. Depending on how you feel about the Raiders later, probably going to be the last division we cover. Then Houston, they got your Chargers again, little revenge game, right? Arizona, Tennessee, the Colts, the Jets, the Broncos week 16, the Colts week 17, and the Titans week 18. This little 3-game run to end their season. You know, I do think that potentially for playoff implications, if the Jags can get back to where they were in 2020, what was it, 2023? So, depending on who's in this division is going to be good. We don't know about the Titans, the Colts. We know Denver's going to be decent, right? That's the schedule. It is the 6th easiest. And obviously for the AFC South, all of these are going to be inflated a little bit because they all play each other and they all have a better record. So depending on how you feel about each team, one of these teams is going to beat their over-under. So here are the odds. Their win total after a really down year set at 7.5. They're higher on the Jaguars. They're projected to get second in their division despite finishing third, 11th for the conference in the AFC, so still projected to miss the playoffs. And for the Super Bowl, they're tied for 24th. So, Jared, are you taking the over or the under 7.5 wins? I'll tell you right now, I'm going to take the over on the 7.5. There's a lot of hype going on in this team. You know that for the most part, I'm a Trevor Lawrence believer. I think he's a good quarterback. And I think in a contract year from ETN, I think Travis Hunter coming in, year 2 Brian Thomas is what I'm very excited for in the Liam Cohen offense, where we have seen Mike Evans, Chris Godwin have explosive seasons, and Baker Mayfield rejuvenation. I think that he could have a similar effect on Trevor Lawrence. I think they can get to 8 or 9 wins. Maybe even make the playoffs. Maybe.
You just know how I feel about the Jaguars. I'm not a believer, though I think they improve. I think right now I see them as like I'll go over, but like by also like same thing I did with the Titans, half a game. I think they're around 500.
Yeah.
Not 4-13, but they'll be 8-9 is my guess, or 9-8 at best.
Yep. Okay.
You know, my pessimistic, because I'm still salty, like would have just said nah, 6 wins, but like, no, my football mind's telling me they'll be around 500.
Let's move on to a team who was around 500 last year, the running out of gas Indianapolis Colts. Jared, you want to go ahead and explain this image right here?
All right. Well, obviously, for those who have not seen the Chargers, once again, peak schedule release video, their Minecraft one, it was the QB race with Andrew Luck waving the checkered flag, sending the QBs off. Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones, and I forgot who the third one is in that, but you know, it's...
Who cares?
Yeah,
it's a 2-man race. And honestly, the race is probably over if we're being real. Because Anthony Richardson's hurt again already.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The former glorious king of Ryan Jones. And the Pat McAfee show is there.
That lasted about a month, and we were done.
Yeah. The Pat McAfee show being there, 1, obviously because he was a longtime Colt, and 2, because I believe he called out Anthony Richardson after he subbed himself out of a game. So, there's that. That's the context of that image. For those that don't
know. It was a rocky season for the Colts. They had higher hopes coming into the year. They thought maybe the playoff. And the Colts are always just they have good players, but not at premium positions. You know what I
Well, at
mean? Like
tight
they
end,
always
they
have a
got
really
one
good.
now. They got one at tight end now.
Well, according to he might be the second best tight end in the class now. I mean, just saying, we don't know. Overall, and rookie tight ends always struggle, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Here's the season recap. They were 8-9, so they got. That's not right. They did not get third. They got second in their division. There you go. They were pretty good at home in Indianapolis, 5-3, but on the road with the just in and out of the lineup for Anthony Richardson, literally and figuratively, 3-6. Right, they missed the playoffs, and despite that, they were still 23rd in passing. Not great, but again, for a guy who can't throw the football accurately, 23 is not the worst. You could be the Titans and Will Levis. On the ground is where they really shined, and I think that's where they're going to want to continue to, improve upon the most, and they hope to be like a top 10 rushing offense. They were 17th with Jonathan Taylor. Hopefully the O-line is better, and he could be returned to form and be elite Jonathan Taylor. As far as points are concerned, they're around the middle, 17th. Defensively, the secondary was terrible, but the run defense was really good.
As expected.
26th in passing. Running, though, they were 6th against the run. You could not run on the Colts. But the secondary was so bad that every single team just scored a bunch of points. They were 24th in points. So here's the staff. Chris Ballard still has a job somehow.
The staff
This is
of
his
Ballard.
8th season. He's just been here forever, man, it seems. He's in his 8th season. The head coach, Shane Steichen, obviously comes over from Philadelphia. This is year 3 for him. He needs to have a winning year, or he could be on the way out.
Well, obviously, we're gonna see
that
why
not
that's. Well, we're gonna see why he's probably not gonna have a winning year. So.
Well, I'll tell you right now, that offensive coordinator name, that is not a typo. This is Jim Bob Cooter, as in his 3rd season as the OC. Lou Anarumo, the former Cincinnati defensive coordinator who got laid off, he's here now. He did coach a Super Bowl losing, but he did get to the Super Bowl as Cincinnati's defensive coordinator. He lost all of his players. The defense wasn't good. So we'll see what he schemes up here and see if, obviously, let's be real here. The Colts do have better defensive personnel than the Bengals. They have better players on defense than the Bengals. So, not on the level of Trey Hendrickson, but he's probably not on the Bengals anymore, if we're being honest. And then Brian Mason, the special teams coordinator, 3rd season. So Lou Anarumo comes in. They're hoping he fixes the defense. And Daniel Jones, of all people, fixes the offense. Here are the losses. They lost a lot, and they did not do much in free agency to replace him. Joe Flacco is probably going to start in Cleveland. Ryan Kelly, the longtime center here, goes to Minnesota. Will Fries goes to Minnesota as well. Dayu Oyeyumbo, I suck at names. Edge rusher goes to Chicago. Sure, he goes to Chicago. Whatever you say, buddy. Taven Bryan has not been signed anywhere. Neither is Raekwon Davis. So this defensive line, who ranks 6th in the NFL against the run, these guys are still out there. So decent signings for people, or maybe the Colts, depending on what happens, right? In the linebacking core, they had to redo the whole entire linebacking core. Didn't do much in free agency. We'll look at the depth chart soon. EJ Speed goes to Houston. Grant Sherrod goes to the Lions, trying to improve that defense after the massacre that happened against Washington, right? Julian Blackmon, longtime safety here. He's a free agent. He's not back. And then Matt Gay comes over from Washington, or heads to Washington, and they need a kicker. Daniel Jones is the planet quarterback. Comes over from the Giants. Can Danny Dimes finally have his Sam Darnold redemption, his Baker Mayfield redemption? Is Daniel Jones that player this year? Charvarius Ward, longtime Chief. He was in with the Niners last year for a couple years. He comes over, he gets paid. And then Cameron Bynum. This is probably one of the bigger moves of the offseason. They want to improve that secondary a lot. They brought in Charvarius Ward and Cam Bynum from Minnesota, who was part of arguably the best safety duo in the NFL last year. So, big names coming over, but not a lot of them, Jared. What do you think about what the Colts did this offseason?
Yeah, doesn't put the same twinge in my penis as the Jaguars and Titans off seasons, but we gotta start somewhere, y'all. The South is very South.
Yeah, it's very bad. Let's just say that. Not great. All right, let's get
Daniel
to the draft
Jones
class.
doesn't give me the same amount of optimism as a Trevor Lawrence / Cam Ward and C.J. Stroud would do. So I'd be praying every Saturday night before a game.
I mean, look, I'll say it right now. They probably are going to have the worst quarterback.
Maybe.
Right? Let's just be real here.
Maybe.
Cam Ward's going to be better. Trevor Lawrence is going to be better. C.J. Stroud's definitely going to be better. Let's look at the drafts now. Tyler Warren is the big name coming. Tight end out of Penn State. Many people thought he was going to be there, and it was going to be a choice between two tight ends, and it wasn't. The Bears, we'll get to the Bears soon, in a later episode.
Damn you, Chicago.
Shocked us, and Tyler Warren was the second tight end after being projected first all year. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know much what to say. Tyler Warren's here, giving Daniel Jones a safe, comfortable option. You look at last year's draft, you hope for a big year out of Latu coming out of UCLA. He didn't have a great rookie year, but hopefully he can improve this year and be the player we thought he was coming out. Fun fact, he was the 15th. I know I'm rambling about last year's draft. Him being the 15th pick in last year's draft, he was the first defensive player in last year's draft taken. That was the latest a defensive player has ever been taken in the NFL. So, pretty crazy.
And this past year, defensive player went second if you want to count Travis Hunter.
Yeah. Here's the projected depth chart. I'm going to be real. It doesn't look updated because Anthony Richardson's hurt and Daniel Jones is going to be the starter. He just is. Jonathan Taylor.
I don't
and
know.
They bring in.
I want to see what that Bean can do in that 4-string QB, Jason Bean. Why not?
Yeah,
Shane Steichen, if you are on the hot seat, you got to start taking some real effing chances here, my guy.
Look, Riley Leonard is drafted. He's a rookie out of Notre Dame.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be shocked today.
When has a Notre Dame QB ever panned out in the NFL?
Jared, what school did Jason Bean play for?
Not relevant.
Exactly.
Not relevant.
Exactly.
Answer my question first.
Exactly. The quarterback room's not good. I'm going to just be real. The running back room, led by Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor's pretty good, man. And then Khalil Herbert as a good, too. The receiver room, it's the same as last year. Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, Josh Downs. But Tyler Warren comes in here. A tight end room of Mo Alley. It's pretty damn good, if you ask me. So I think the weapons for Daniel Jones, they're definitely in place. The offensive line, they just have to stay healthy. That's the big thing. Bernard Raymond is the left tackle. Quentin Nelson, one of the best guards in the NFL. Tanner Bortolini. That sounds Italian. Yeah, sounds Italian. He is the new center here, replacing Ryan Kelly. He has a big job to do. big shoes to fill for Ryan Kelly. Matt Gonzalez comes in as the right guard, and then Braden Smith is your right tackle. Jared, are you optimistic about Daniel Jones and this Colts offense?
Aside from the running game and the wide receiver and tight end room, QB and the O-line does not move me a whole lot. And that O-line ain't going to be moving shit.
If only you had 5 Quentin Nelson. Defense is pretty exciting, though, I will say that.
Oh, yes.
Kwity Paye, Grover Stewart, DeForest Buckner, and Latu. That is a really good defensive line.
Oh, yes.
Hopefully.
That defense makes me want to DeForest my Buckner.
What's that?
I'm sorry, this is just a really bad division.
It really is. Hey, we went through this during baseball too.
Yeah.
We talked about the Nationals and the Pirates and the
Marlins, the White Sox.
Yeah, the Marlins. Yeah, same thing. The linebacking core. Who the hell are these guys? The secondary is where you get excited because having the bad secondary with as much improvement as you have, Jalen Jones, Nick Cross, Cam Bynum, Charvarius Ward, and Kenny Moore, it's definitely an improved secondary, so you hope that this could be an overall top 10 defensive unit in the NFL with Lou Anarumo calling the plays here. So I think that the real excitement comes with the defense. This is the 12th easiest schedule, so a little above average is where they want to be. They open the season in Miami, or at home against Miami, actually. So hopefully starting out with a W. Miami, Denver, that's a loss for them. Tennessee, the Rams, that's a loss for them. The Raiders, the Cardinals, Chargers, that's a loss for them. Titans. Oh, man. Daniel Jones against the Pittsburgh defense, probably a loss. Atlanta, overseas, who the hell knows? Then they go in there, decent bye week for them, 11, pretty good. Kansas City, probably a loss. Houston, probably a loss. Jacksonville, they're going to be as good as I think, probably a loss. Seattle, San Francisco, probably a loss. Jacksonville, Houston. So it is the 12th easiest schedule, but it's no slouch of a schedule. You still have to play the Broncos, Rams, the Raiders, the Chargers, the Steelers, the Chiefs, the Texans, the Seahawks, depending on how you feel about them, the Niners. So, all right, here are the odds. Same projected win total as the Jaguars at 7.5, but for the division, they are projected to finish third behind Jacksonville. They're 13th in the AFC, according to the conference odds, and they're tied for 24th once again for Super Bowl with the Jaguars, as if you remember. This is an easy under for me. I don't think that the Colts are going to be very good this year. And look, did I think that Baker Mayfield was going to do what he did with the Bucs? No. Did I think Sam Darnold was going to do what he did last year? No. And you know what? Fool me once, fool me twice, whatever the saying is. My new saying is, I don't give a crap, it's Daniel Jones. You're going under 7.5. Jared?
I'm gonna probably have to agree with you, but I'm gonna say under by half. I think they finish with 7, and they do finish third. behind the Jaguars, who would finish in second.
Okay.
As of right now, as we're doing this. Who knows? It might be subject to change depending on how camps go and preseason when we get to when we get to our prediction week before the season and whatnot.
Yeah, this is very loose predictions, by the way.
Yeah.
And then my favorite memes of the day, the team that got first in this division, the Houston Texans. What the hell are they doing in Houston to this offensive line? You have Drewski all across it.
The Drewski line?
The Drewski line, yeah. Despite this offensive line, as you could see, the Houston Texans did finish 10-7. They won this division, which is not a good one. 5-3 at home, good. On the road, they were 5-4, okay. The end of their season, they obviously beat your Chargers in the wild card, 32-12, and then they ended up losing in the divisional. The Kansas City Chiefs, 23-14. So they did make the playoffs. They won a playoff game last year, but they ended up losing in the divisional to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Here are the offensive ranks. You look at the defensive side, you're like, damn, that's awesome. You look at the offensive line, you're like, what happened? You're CJ Stroud and Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell and like, well, I'll tell you what happened. The offensive line was crap and all the receivers got hurt. So, they were 22nd in passing, 27th in running. They could not run the football at all. But despite this, they still scored the 19th most points. Okay. Defensively, DeMeco Ryans has his guys in gear, man. This is why he got hired. They're 5th against the pass, 9 against the run. In the red zone, though, they struggled. 14th points allowed. Obviously, I don't think the offense helped them out here either. The staff, Nick Casario is the GM. This will be year 5. DeMeco Ryans comes in. This is year 3 for him. Made the playoffs both times as a head coach. Could this be his first time missing? Interesting take. Oh, who said that? Nick Callie is the new offensive coordinator. He was the Rams tight end coach and their passing game coordinator. So we'll see if coming from the Sean McVay tree, he is another one of these bright offensive minds that can come in and, do great offensively, like a Kevin McConnell or whoever else you want to think, right? Matt Burke is the DC, but let's be real here. We know DeMeco Ryans is calling that defense. And then Frank Ross is the special teams coordinator. A lot of movement for this Houston team. They knew they had issues, and they addressed them. Stephon Diggs, Robert Woods, they're gone. Laramie Tunsil, Kenyon Green, Shaq Mason, all on the offensive line, all gone. What the hell happened? I mean, we could see what they replaced him with, but we'll get to that in a second. Jerry Hughes, longtime NFL vet defensively, is gone. Devin White, former first-round pick, with the Bucks, if I'm not mistaken, right? He's with the Raiders now. Jeff Okudah, former first-round pick. He's in Minnesota now. And then Eric Murray, we talked about him. He goes over to the Jaguars. Big names lost for this team. In free agency, they're like, we can't run the ball? Boom, let's bring in Nick Chubb. All right, I'm with you so far. If Nick Chubb can stay healthy, awesome. Oh, Christian Kirk comes in. All right, cool. We get rid of Stephon Diggs and his, whatever drugs he was doing on that boat. He's gone, right? Robert Woods, you're old as hell. You're gone. We're going to bring in Christian Kirk. All right, I can get behind that. This is where you kind of lose me, is this offensive line. Because holy patchwork, Batman. This is like held together by duct tape and super glue
And the power of friendship.
and the power of friendship. Trent Brown, he was good once upon a time. Cam Robinson, he was good once upon a time, a little bit. Ed Ingram, they traded for him from Minnesota. And then Laken Tomlinson, he is like 47 years old. Like, I don't know, man. Do I think a bunch of guys on 1-year deals can come together for a patchwork offensive line? It remains to be seen. Doesn't usually work out that way. Sheldon Rankins, defensively, all right, solid addition. Nick Neiman, all right,
I love me
comes over
some
from the
Nick Neiman.
Chargers.
I'm so devastated.
Look, it's
He was so
signing.
good on
It's a real,
special team.
yeah, it's a good signing for them. Trayman Smith, he comes over from Denver. He played corner and kick returner. He was a backup in both, so I don't know what they're seeing here. He wasn't gonna start over Marvin Mims. Simple as that, right? And then they traded for CJ Gardner Johnson, Super Bowl champion with the Eagles. He's here to replace Eric Murray. So I think they did a good job replacing Eric Murray. That's about it. I like what they did with their weapons and replacing their secondary pieces. But the offensive line, not great. Let's see what they did in the draft to see, you know what, they have a plan. Maybe their draft is okay. Oh, wait, they didn't have a first round pick for the last 2 years because they traded for CJ Stroud and I don't know who
Will
they
Anderson.
traded for Will Anderson. Will Anderson. CJ Stroud was already their pick, right?
Yeah.
In the second round, they go after Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State. They get an offensive lineman out of Minnesota, another wide receiver. Look, they're doing what they can to address their holes, but the problem is premium players are available at the top in the first round. And usually, as the draft goes on, when players leave, as players fall off the board and all that, they're not as good. So, look, I don't know what to tell you with the draft, man. Jaden Higgins is good. I know he's good. Is he going to be an instant impact year one? Maybe. A lot of rookie receivers are, but that's not where we need him to play. We need offensive linemen. That's what we need. Let's look at the depth chart. Holy duct tape, Batman. CJ Stroud is here. He's going to need duct tape to hold together his legs because defenders are going to probably snap them. Joe Mixon is still here with Nick Chubb and Damian Pierce. It's a pretty damn good running back room if they're actually healthy. Who knows? Nico Collins is freaking awesome. He's amazing. He's incredible. Christian Kirk is pretty damn good. Tank Dell, is he going to be ready for the season? I don't know. What did he do? Tear his ACL or something? I don't know.
I think he tore all his CLs or something like that.
He tore everything. His legs are cooked, and he weighed like 110 pounds anyway. I don't know if Tank Dell's ever going to be the same because it was so promising for him. So they draft Jaden Higgins. They still have Jalen Noel, John Mechie, Justin Watson is here from the Chiefs for him. Braxton Berrios is here.
Oh, man.
Dude, it's a deep receiver room.
Dude, you said
the problem.
You said holy, Batman. There's a Wayne in there.
Yeah. And Dalton Schultz is obviously pretty good, right?
Yeah.
This is a lot of really freaking good weapons. But then you look down at the offensive line and you're like, Cam Robinson's here, Titus Howard, Laken Tomlinson's like a million years old. Jake Andrews is your plan? I'm sorry. Look, man. This is your plan for the offensive line. Cam Robinson has never been able to play 17. He's not going to be in here, so you're going to have to play Irsay. He's a second round rookie Is he ready? I don't know. Defensively, it's pretty damn good. I'm not going to lie. Will Anderson, Tim Settle, Fatukasi. I don't know how to say these people's names, man. Daniil Hunter comes over or signs an extension. Henry Toa. Look, man, he's good. I just can't say the name.
Oh,
Aziz
yes.
Al here.
This guy, yeah.
Nick Neiman's a backup. EJ Speed is here. The secondary is awesome. Derek Stingley's one of the best corners. Kalen Bullock, CJ Gardner-Johnson, Kamari Lasseter, I think.
I think it's
And then
Lasseter
Jalen
or
Petrie.
something like that.
Hey, you're here for the names. I'm here for the football. And then Jalen Petrie is pretty good too. So the defense is great. The offense is, the top half of it is good. And then you look down at this little group right here that I'm circling with my mouse, and you're like, ooh, I don't know.
I'm going to take the quote from the Fantastic Four trailer, looking at the, offense, the QB, the running back, the tight end, the wide receiver. You're going to be the best part of the offense. And then looks at the offensive line. And then no, just kidding. You are out of your depth.
You're out of your depth. Exactly. So, I don't know if there's any other free agents out there to improve this offensive line. Look, Trent Brown is third on the depth chart right now. Why? I don't know. Anyways, this is really going to rely on if this offensive line is good together, and I don't know if they can be. Plus, they have the 25th hardest, or the 25th ranked schedule. It's a tough schedule, dude. And looking at this schedule, they could start 0-3. Realistically.
Yeah.
Rams, Bucks, and then if the Jags are good again, Titans are a gimme. Baltimore, week 5. That's probably a loss. The Ravens are an amazing regular season team. So you could be 1-4 going into your bye. I don't know. Coming out of your bye, the Seattle, San Francisco, Denver. That's a hell of a run of that's 3 games running. Depending on if Seattle's good, I know Seattle's going to be good defensively at least, who knows what Sam Darnold's going to do, but defensively they're going to be good. The Niners should be back. I don't think my Broncos are going anywhere. Then they have Jacksonville, Tennessee, 2 division games. Then
Short
Buffalo.
week against Buffalo. Wow. On Thursday night.
Against Buffalo? Josh Allen's going to carve these guys up, even if it is a good defense. Josh Allen's an MVP now. Then the Colts, the Chiefs.
He now has a ring, if you know what I mean. He's an MVP with a ring. So,
a little more motivation for him, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Cardinals, Vegas. Okay, you get a little couple layups to end your season, right? But then you have to play the Chargers and the Colts. Like this Raiders, Chargers, Colts to end your year. Playoff implications. All these teams expect to be fighting for the playoffs, right? And can you imagine if in a revenge scenario, the Chargers knock them out of the playoffs?
No, or worse, cost them the AFC South and just hand it to the Jaguars. I'd be like, I don't know who I hate more in this situation.
I'm telling you, dude.
Man,
the schedule's hard.
Because you know what will probably happen is whoever wins the South, my team has to play in the first round, and I'll be like, well, shit.
Yeah. Here we go again.
Vietnam War meme.
The freaking tough, man. All right. Here are the odds. They're set at 9.5. So they think this team's going to get 9 or 10 wins. All right, fine. They're plus 100. They're projected first. Okay, they're expected. For the AFC, 6th. Okay, they're the 6th favorite. Okay, that's pretty damn good. And for the Super Bowl, they're all right. I don't think they're getting to 10 wins this year.
I do not either.
I'm going under 9.5. And after you type that, we can continue to scroll down, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
And we have a whole section for our placement. And I'm going to let you go first. All I want you to do, you don't have to give records, but just go 1 to 4. Tell me who's winning, just like we did for baseball. And when you're done, I will scroll.
Until the Jaguars can put together a healthy season, I still think it's the Texans division. I'm typing it on my phone, so it'll take a second to pop in.
Go for it, yeah.
So that way they can see our kind of reactions. Second, I'm going to go with the Jaguars.
Okay.
The third place team. I'm just gonna let it pop up and have you just, if it does, let's see, give it a second.
They're totally going Titans. They're going Titans first. I know it. All that Daniel Jones talk got you all, like.
He's the worst quarterback in the division.
He is. He really is.
And it's the AFC South.
I knew you were going to go Titans. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
This division sucks.
It really does. That means the Colts are okay.
Yeah, if it wasn't obvious, the Colts are last. They are going to be in the running for Arch Manning this coming season.
Yeah. And that's kind of like where my mindset is at. Like, can Daniel Jones get them another Manning, essentially? All right, so you got Texans, Jags, Titans, Colts. Alrighty. I will go bottom to top. See it on the screen. I also think the Colts are going to finish last. I agree with you. I think they're going like 4-13. I don't think it's going to be a good year for them. And I have the Titans. I have the Titans getting 5 wins, just barely beating them out. These two right here, they're interchangeable. I don't care. I'll just let you go ahead.
The Texans.
I think the Jags are going to bounce back, and I think for many years to come, Trevor Lawrence and C.J. Stroud, they're going to go back and forth. Next year, I'll probably pick the Texans. This year, the Jags are winning this division. So,
I think it'll be close between the two teams. I think it'll be close.
I do too. I think it's a 2-team race between the Jags and the Texans. I don't think the Titans are doing anything, and I think Daniel Jones sucks. I have the Jags. You have the Texans, as you can see on the screen, and we will get Tyler's in here later. And we might start next episode with Tyler's AFC South.
Yeah, we'll have him listen or at least watch, depending if he watches it on Spotify or YouTube, so he can get his in-depth, cogent Co-Jones analysis on
that's
the
my
AFC
thing.
South.
You can't have.
You're right. No. Sorry, my bad. But yeah, like he'll listen to both our insights, and you know what? He'll probably agree with at least our bottom two.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what he'll think for the top two, but he could go either way, and I wouldn't be surprised. So.
Yeah. All right. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The AFC South. I promise next week with the NFC South, it is going to get better. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end it off. Song recommendation. As always, you can check out the full list in our playlist below in the YouTube. They should be there. If they're not, it means I privated them. By the time this episode gets up, the playlist will be there. That's all I'm saying. So, do you want to go first? Do you have one, or do you want me?
I have one. It's a cover song. So it's a cover of a song. It's
Okay.
it's Ghost by Kayla King.
Ghost by, how do you spell the artist name?
Kayla, so just Kayla.
Kayla.
King.
King?
Yeah.
Like that? Okay. Cool. Want to talk about the song a little bit? Any.
It's a cover of a song that's already out there. Like you'll know like when you hear it and be like I forget who the original song's by, but
yeah. Okay.
Like right as you play it, you'll know, oh, this song, yeah. But it's rock.
Yeah. All right. So once again, I'm gonna go to an artist that I don't know if I don't think I haven't recommended yet, but my favorite rapper has been dropping hella music as of lately, and he has an album coming out in a month. So I've been revisiting a lot of his old stuff and just kind of going through his catalog of music and everything. So this week, and honestly, leading up to his album drop, which I'm very excited for, I might just recommend a song a week of his music. I recommend his whole album called The Forever Story, but this week I'm going to go Stars by my guy JID. Or Jid. But JID is, yeah. He is my favorite rapper right now. He is easily in my top 3, like, of all time. The wordplay is insane. But this song, I think, is a pretty interesting entry into Jid. And I'll play it for you in a little bit. And yeah, so there it is. Stars by JID and Ghosts by Kayla King. 2 short titles this week. I like it. You can see the whole list of songs we've recommended right there. Obviously, the playlist will be in the description below. And that is all I got for you. So, any last closing thoughts, Jared, before we sign off for the night?
I'm glad we got the worst division out of the way.
Yeah, it was a rough one, dude. It was a rough one.
Like, I might just start out the episode with like some like short snippet previews, and then just like the last clip being like me going, "This division sucks," and I just cut to AFC South. Welcome everybody to our division. Just like a preview, like what this is going to be. The emotional not stress, but like emotional like downplay of this division.
Dude, it's not great. It's not great. But that's why we got it out of the way first, and we get into all the better divisions. So, all right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please give us a good rating on Spotify, like, comments, and but ring that little notification bell. Stay up to date with all of our amazing content that's dropping. The NFL season is upon. Baseball playoffs are going to be in a couple months. Can't wait for the fall. It's our busiest time of the year. It's going to be awesome. And yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.